is it so hard? Art. What is art, anyways? According to this cool-ass little dictionary published in 1966 from my grandpa and grandma's house, art is defined as the human ability to make things, creativeness, skill, any specific skill or its application, creative work generally or its principles, making or doing of things that have form and beauty. Art includes painting, sculpture, architecture, music, literature, drama, the dance, etc. Art is a really difficult thing to try and pin a definition on, really. I would also include fashion and food and the culture that goes with that food and fashion. Art builds culture. Art is almost everything, really, when you think about it. A professor of mine, when I was taking architectural technology, said something that really has stuck with me over the years. When I was showing him a drawing for a design project that we were working on in class. And that was that. Here's my sketchbooks. So the assignment was to come up with an interpretive center, a visitor center type of thing for somebody who has never been to Alberta before, and you wanted to give them, or anyone, kind of the Alberta experience. Think like the tourist centers in a town that you stop at, but this could be very conceptual. So, you could do kind of anything. And this is what I had come up with and what I showed him. So the trusty old sketchbook. So this was kind of the entryway, if you want to call it that. So you arrive via river, there'd be kind of a docking station, somebody there to greet you, and you'd just be surrounded by Alberta scenery, which might be this river with kind of wetlands and rolling hills, maybe some flatland. You might be in a coulee, all kinds of things, all kinds of possibilities. Remember, conceptual. And then this was kind of the map way that I had drawn for the space. So you'd enter, docking, greeting station, pathway ramp thing up to this main area where you'd have your shelter space, cooking space, views, and just picture like grasslands and wheat fields and mountains surrounding you. And you could just, anywhere in this space, you'd just be sitting and looking out over Alberta. Sit, gather, ponder, whatever. Kitchen, I didn't actually draw a kitchen in there, but... And then this one, when we presented them to the class, I had scanned all these, and in this one in Photoshop, I just filled all this with blue sky and then left all the rest of it black and white. Here's a farther up version of the sketch. Does this make you think of Alberta? If so, the purpose of art and how you know if something is art or good art is if it makes you think, if it invokes an emotion or reaction of any kind, positive or negative. If you see it and it makes you think about something, then it's a successful piece of art. And that makes sense, right? Anyways, I just thought that was cool, that my art could invoke an emotional response. So now, that's maybe because of that, that's why I like my pieces to have some kind of meaning to them. So much has changed since then, since this. Like everything. But that's okay. Change is good. Change is necessary. Where would we be without change? Neanderthals? Depending on your beliefs? Or nothing, I guess. Depending on your beliefs. Where am I going with all of this? I guess the purpose of this vlog is to talk about what is art and how I got into art. I'll show you a few of the projects I've completed in the past. It kind of just has pictures. I'll talk about the journey to get here and where I want to go, I guess, and show you some of the things I'm currently working on or have recently finished. Growing up, I actually wasn't really super into art. Like, I didn't take art class in high school or anything. I doodled a little bit, but that's about it. I did like to write, though. I always have. I used to write some poems and stuff. I don't know where my old poetry book or pages are. I did find it. I came across it when I was moving, and I wrote most of them when I was maybe 19 or 20 and real depressed and angsty. But at the time I was like, oh yeah, this is good. But it was not good. It was poorly written and extremely depressing. So I threw most of them away, but I did keep a couple of them that were good. I will share a one-liner poem, I guess, that I do remember. It goes, if I find them, I will share them, more of them, at a future date. But that's one of them. And that was about it for art until about 2012, 2013. I'm not really sure, but at that time, a friend of a friend asked me if I would like to be involved in an art festival in Red Deer called Nuit Blanc. Now, Nuit Blanc didn't start in Red Deer. I think it started in France. But it's a festival that's put on all over the world in cities, and Nuit Blanc means light up the night. So it's a nighttime art festival. And that festival was actually really cool. We grew it over the course of 5 years, and it got bigger and better each year. The first one was just in a couple of back alleys and relatively small, and the best one we did was, I think we thought there was close to 10,000 people in downtown Red Deer, and we had a big stage and beer gardens and art throughout probably 6 blocks, live painting, art installations. It was really cool. And that was kind of my first involvement in where I built my first real art pieces. So this is one picture that I do have, and this stack of blocks actually lived a few different lives. The original concept of it was a modern totem pole, and I was going to have a indigenous artist paint just kind of some really simplistic hieroglyphs, or I don't know what you actually call them, but just some really simplistic pictures on the sides of these blocks, kind of one on each side, so that you'd have to walk all the way around it to see it all. That never happened. I also thought of turning them into like dice and have the number dots or whatever, the black dots, kind of dripping off of it and make a little puddle on the bottom. Could have been that, but for the first year it was just plain white blocks. And then for another Nuit Blanc, it was the Pride Alliance, or whatever you want to call it, in Red Deer. Used it and painted a bunch of different pictures on it. I don't have a picture of what it looked like then. And this was the final incarnation of it, and it was supposed to be a stack of presents, because we had it out at the Red Deer Lights the Night, where they light up all their Christmas trees and stuff downtown, and it was supposed to be like a stack of Christmas presents. And it was always really cool seeing people react to my art, and that is another example of that, because there was lots of kids down there, and the kids would walk around and look at it and be like, oh, That's really cool. How is it like, is it gonna fall over? I wonder what's inside of there, kind of thing. Anyways, that made me happy. That art festival is what really got me into it and introduced me to a bunch of different artists and stuff. Josh being one of them. Lots of you guys will know who Josh is. If you don't, check him out at My Hands Gallery, and at Ushitat is his YouTube and all the social medias. Look up those things. I'll put a link in the description. And it was through those connections that I was able to make some more art, actually, through the Red Deer Downtown Business Association. They actually commissioned me to make some sculptures for when the Canada Winter Games came to Red Deer in 2019. So that was pretty cool. I made a couple of the sculptures, and then I also brought in a couple of other artists that I met through Nuit Blanc to make some of the other pieces. Josh being one of them. Jennifer, it was Josh and Jennifer. I made two, Josh made one, me and Josh made one together, and Jennifer made one. All these pieces were made out of scrap materials, upcycled materials. Any of my sculptural pieces I will always make mostly out of recycled, upcycled junk. I made this bull trout out of scrap steel from a junkyard and from my buddy Corey, who worked at a welding shop. I got the expanded steel, and the little creatures like this guy were from the cutoffs of a plasma table for making metal signs, and these were just the offcuts. So that was pretty cool. I also made this owl. Actually, that I still have some remnants of. So this is a great horned owl. There's his horns. So I got this printed off at a copy shop that had a printer that printed giant blueprints so that I could get it to the size that I wanted. This is about 40 inches by 30 inches or something like that. So I printed this off so that I could get a feather pattern. And this was a lot harder and more time consuming than one might think, because they all kind of blur together. And I wanted it to look even. And I used that as a template to create this outline or pattern. And there was one feather right in the middle that I probably spent hours trying to get this right, because I wanted it to all have this nice natural sweepingness to it. And drilled out about 1 million holes, which you can see some evidence of that on here. I drilled the holes different sizes to let different amounts of light through. I also made Stanley here. The idea behind him was that it was like one of those like wood puzzles that you made as a kid, or maybe you still make, or your kid makes. But it's just layers of plywood basically, and painted him red and white for Canada, obviously for the Canada Winter Games. This is actually pretty much life-size, because I actually went out to a taxidermist in Red Deer and got the measurements off of a full-scale mount that he had. And Josh actually came out there too, because he had a bighorn sheep, a ram, there to get measurements off of, because for the Canada Winter Games, this is what Josh made. This thing was freaking awesome. It is all scrap steel and stuff that he had collected, and we got some again from our buddy Corey. But this thing was really cool. The piece that Josh and I made together for the Canada Winter Games was this wild rose here. The idea behind it was like a pop art piece. So just bright colors, really simplistic form. We made this out of scrap sheet metal. Local metal fabrication bending shop in Red Deer I knew gave us some scrap pieces. And then the stem was parts of an old trampoline from my parents' place, and the little, whatever you call them, buttons were again from Corey. They were punch outs from his welding shop, and Corey helped us make this as well, because he is a extremely good metal fabricator. And the last piece for the Canada Winter Games was this fox, which was made by Jennifer. And again, she got all this metal out of scraps and put this together. It was hard to get a good picture of it with the buildings behind it, but it was also really cool. Okay, this piece. So this is a dresser top. Hope is Melody's middle name because it was she gave me hope, I guess, is kind of the thought behind it. So it's like hope, ... And then all these other little things can be in the eye of the beholder. Dreams, ... Love, ... Pain, ... That kind of a thing. So maybe this should go up on my wall somewhere. Or maybe I could sell it. Maybe somebody would want to buy it. The next painting that I tried to do was this guy right here. I was trying to paint the Notorious B.I.G. I was looking at a picture. Doesn't really look like the Notorious B.I.G., but it mostly looks like African American man, so I think they did okay on his nose and his mouth and stuff, but definitely there are some things not in proportion. His eyes, his ears are lopsided, but hey. I'll probably just always keep this as it is, as just kind of a where I started kind of thing. So, as I was working with the Nuit Blanc Festival over the course of 5 years, I thought it was really cool, and it seemed like other people thought it was really cool too, and people liked to come out and support art and artists, and like just an event to get out of the house and something different. So because of that, I started a company. It wasn't really a company because I never really put in the effort required to make it a company, but I did put on a couple of really cool events. One of them being a fashion show / art gallery. It was, for the most part, successful, I would say. I could have made money if or at least broke even if I did a few things differently, but it was really cool. And then I also did another event called the Fancy Pants Wine and Art Night at a local pub in Red Deer. Again, as far as an event, I think it went good, like it looked good, and there was a decent crowd there, and live music and live painters. Unfortunately, nobody really sold anything at that show, so for the artists it was kind of a waste of time. And then I put on another one that was a complete waste of time for everyone. That company was called Unlimited Edition. And this is a poster that my buddy Josh made for me for, which event was it? This was for the fashion show. I had made a really terrible, I tried to make a piece of art, a really terrible design. It was terrible. I showed it to him, he was like, man, that is terrible. Let me try and do something for you. And so the idea behind this TV was I used to draw like basically this, well, not as cool as this, but like a little TV and put my initials in it. Like when I was in high school, I would draw that on things. And that came from, I think it was the old YTV logo or something. But anyways, this is what he came up with for that. And it's really cool. There's only like 5 or 6 of these in existence. So I'll have to talk to Josh and see what he wants to do with them. Maybe we can give them away at some point, or if he wants to sell them, or I don't know what. Oh, I also made this cool nest and eggs for a, what was it called? In Sylvan Lake, they had a food and art festival kind of thing. And it was actually really cool. I think they only did it the 1 year for some reason. Just scrap plywood and some birch stumps here. This I actually still have out in the yard. After this guy I painted this. So this is supposed to be me and Melody, basically. Me, Melody, and this is just our thoughts communicating with each other. Some people have asked me if we're smoking. No, we were not smoking. But I really like brains. I'll probably do a series with these characters, not necessarily Melody, but like this brain with the legs as characters. I've actually done one sketch depicting a painting that I want to do in that series. For that, we will go back to the old sketchbook here. Now this concept I actually came up with when I was still married, and I knew that it was kind of falling apart. The idea being questions building walls. There could be a person on the other side of this wall with question marks also helping build this wall. But I don't know, you get it? I do want to turn this idea into a painting. And then I have other ideas for this character as well. So I started drawing in my sketchbooks when I was in between living situations. After I finally got out of my house in Red Deer and was living in no man's land, I knew that I wanted to get into painting, and so I thought, well, I need to know how to draw to be able to come up with some concepts to be able to paint. So I started sketching. I was going to do like a sketch a day for 30 days, and that never happened. But I did birth a few characters out of that, one of them being this guy. This is Bert. So that sketch is in this book. This is my first sketch page. I was Googling how to draw, learn how to draw, and they said, start with drawing hands, because hands are difficult. So that is the first one. That is my hand. And then I just started sketching. So the first one I did was this magpie, and that I just drew off of a picture on the internet. Magpies are kind of cool. Kind of annoying. In my yard in Red Deer, there was 2 nests in my trees, and the one morning there was like 8 babies in the tree that was right beside my house squawking, and oh my goodness. Okay, so here's Bert. And the story behind Bert is, long story short, someone once said to me that I was so effing square I was round. And when I was sketching, I was thinking about that, and that's where this concept came from. So I drew this, which I turned into this painting. So this is done. I'm going to get this scanned, and this original and is for sale, and prints of this will be for sale. And whoever buys the original will also get this sketch. And I'm going to do a whole bunch more pieces based on this character. This is going to be a series that I'm going to do. So if you think it would be cool to have the original concept sketch for this character, I also have this sketch, which I'm going to turn into a painting. The idea being like Dead Black Heart. Dead Black Heart I got from somebody else's Instagram name, but it kind of fits. The idea being I wanted it to look like kind of like a black hole where the heart was. Kind of looks like more of a diseased black hole, but you get the concept, and I am going to turn that into a painting. I like how the sketch kind of transfers over onto the page behind it. We have this ant. Again, this one was just, I drew it based off of a picture on the internet. In the picture, he was sitting on a leaf. Here I have him look like he's kind of about to go over a wall, like almost like he's like a soldier, which ants kind of are like soldiers. So we got that. This is nothing. This was just out of my brain. It's nothing in particular. It's a ball on a house structure. This idea, I guess, concept kind of came from my architectural technology sketch days. Here we got a baby elephant that I have not completed. This was again sketched off of a picture off the internet. I like this one. This one I am going to turn into a painting as well. So it's a pill bottle, and the pills say pride on them. The concept being swallow your pride, or somebody giving you pills to swallow your pride, or whatever you want to take from that, but you get it. There could also be, and maybe when I do the painting, I'll have these pills sitting on a little note that says I love you. Idea I had, I don't know, I guess it was when the war in Ukraine started, but I just think that it's crazy and all the useless wars that are going on. Now there's Gaza and Israel and all the bullshit. But it's just a missile coming down on I don't know, like a school or some houses or some whatevers. But I'll probably turn that into a painting too. Maybe I can sell it as a fundraiser for something. There's so much. I guess, so I should explain, part of that also came from like the old warplanes that have like the shark faces and stuff drawn on the noses. I always thought was kind of cool. And the idea was that if you drew one of those and the missile was, or the warplane had tears. As you can see, this one kind of has tears because it's sad what is happening in the world. And I also have this sketchbook. And I'll just show you one over here, and I'll save some other ones for something else. Because this has to do with this. So, this is Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe Eddie, a painting that I have now completed. So Eddie has lived a couple of different lives. It did not start out looking like this. There's going to be a humble Eddie and a tranny Eddie print that are hopefully available, as well as this print. Because I painted humble Eddie first, and then I wanted to add a pop of color and kept working on him, and that became tranny Eddie when I painted his lips red. And then I was like, oh, I don't really like this. I don't think anybody else will like it. Want to buy it, and I almost stopped at that point, but I was like, man, I've invested a lot of time into this painting, and I should see it through. And that was when I had the concept of using this. And so this came from a concept that I had a long time ago from wanting to like redo the Nirvana smiley face. And I mean, there's lots of different smiley face emojis. And so when I was sitting there sketching, the song Calm Like a Bomb by Rage Against the Machine came on. And I was like, oh, I can make a bomb emoji face. So that's where this came from. It's supposed to be me because of the eyes. That's kind of how my eyes always are. It's born that way. It's not because of the weed, although maybe it is, but I don't smoke weed anymore. So anyways, I had drawn this like months and months before I did that, but I don't know if Calm Like a Bomb came on again, or I was just thinking about this and the Nirvana thing and the whatever, but at some point when I was looking at that, trying to decide what to do with it, I thought, oh, I could make the top of his head like a bomb. The concept being Eddie here and myself and lots of other people, sometimes you just feel like you want to explode, like your head wants to explode. Like there's so much bullshit going on in life that you just want to blow up and maybe take a few things with you when you go. But that's the concept for this. Again, this is going to be, I'm going to create a series around this. So we can do like Eddie in different situations. We can do young Eddie, whatever. We'll see where we go with that. I have a few ideas. Eventually, the bomb will go off and that'll be the last painting in the series. But I was going to have the fuse lit, but I like that it's not because it makes it open-ended and I can do whatever I want with this series. So this original is also for sale and there will be prints. Yeah, I'll save the rest of the sketches in here for another day. Well, I guess I could kind of show you this one because this ties into something I had talked about earlier. Okay, so the wood puzzle that I made, like the Dear Stanley wood puzzle, the idea for that came from Nuit Blanc. One of the first ones we did, another artist wanted to make like a dinosaur wood puzzle, and I thought that that was cool. And I envisioned making, you know, the Doberman pinchers with the cropped ears, I think, that have the pointy ears. And when they're just sitting there looking straight ahead and their ears are pointed up, they're very menacing looking, I think, and they're just badass looking. And that look also made me think of these guys from Stargate, whatever they're called. I always thought they were cool. I know there's somebody who will maybe watch this that knows what these are called. But anyways, that's the timing for that, if that makes any sense. What else do we got? So this is the start of a piece of the Bert series. So I'm going to do like reflections in his face of things. More on that later. I like found art. I think found art is always kind of cool. So this was at my previous job. This was like a metal safety sign, and obviously somebody spray painted something on this. But so this was like an air grill or something. But I think it's cool, and I think it looks like Bender, or a version of Bender from Futurama. So I plan to eventually kind of add to it and make my own version of that. Do I have anything else in here that I should include in this episode? I guess there's these, which we have. This is meant to be like it could be a candy dish, or you could put keys or jewelry or something in there. It has a food safe coating, but it's got a nice little dish there. This is a coaster, like a heavy duty manly man's coaster, and it goes with the thing that is farther down in the box. So we've got these nice little bowls here. These cracks are all filled with black epoxy. We've got a couple of these little ones now. To the people who I said I was going to do giveaways to, I apologize that I haven't got them out yet, but I think I'll set them out and get them boxed up here. Right, Chicken Louie. Now this one is a little bit bigger. This is probably 8 inches or so around. Needs a little wipe. But I really like these ones. It's got a nice... So I sanded through just enough to leave some of this exposed. So I think that looks pretty sharp. Another small one here. that. This was a little business card holder that I was making for someone and then just never got it to them. They said they figured something out, so I guess it'll be my business card holder now. Okay, so the man coasters go with this bad boy. This is like the snack sled. I figure you put like some peanuts, or I imagine some kind of nut, but you could also put Skittles or candy or whatever you want in there. It's a good size. It's got this handle here for carrying. The idea being you pair that with one or two of those, and you sit in your wherever you want to sit and just enjoy a little snack, and you got a coaster for your drink. So I got 4 of these style bowls, 2 of which are going to be given away, and the rest of what you see here is up for sale. A freaking screw in there. Do you know how mad I'd be if there was a big scratch in one of these because of that screw? Oh, I feel something else in here. It's another bowl. I quite like this one. It's got more cracks in it. Okay, that's it. I'll show you guys the first ones I made that inspired these. So this one I didn't actually make. This I just bought at Value Village because I thought it was cool, and it was like $3. It's got stamps from all over the world embedded into it. I don't know if it came from the factory like this or if somebody did that after, but it's cool. This was the first bowl that I made out of a birch stump. I put this big handle in it, and you can see that the wood is very thin right there, but it's kind of cool. And then this is the first charcuterie board that I made. Again, I made it very thin, but I like it. I'm just keeping that one. It's got those splits in it, but they don't seem to really be affecting it. And it's got like 5 coats of a food safe finish on it. And then this is what I have more of these that are for sale. But these are made out of old stair treads from when I renovated my buddy Corey's basement. It's old fur. You can see kind of some of the old nail holes and staple hole remnants. But these are really nice. So that's that. This was in the box. I'll wipe these off again as I'm putting them in there. But this is a tack cloth. So it's got a little bit of, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's not glue because it wouldn't be safe to wipe glue all over these, but it's got just a little bit of stick. This one's still quite sticky, so I'll wipe all the dust off as I'm putting these away. This might end up being a keeper for me, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, because I think it's badass, but this is starting to check, I think is the word, or split or whatever. Just these cracks all along this end here. I can feel them all. It's all kind of separated a little bit. And I think to fix that, I'd have to sand this all down, like this entire thing, which would change all the color if I just tried to sand just this and fill it and epoxy it and a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll see what happens with this. This is like intended to be like a jewelry holder, so you put it on your nightstand. I think this is really cool. And then this is just wall art meant to be, but I just think it's kind of cool. This is off of a very old decrepit piece of wood, so that was the end cut, and then 2 more cuts, and it gets kind of more put back together as you go. And then this is just an old piece of plywood, weathered old plywood. And this is some leftover 1x4 from the Soul Train sign I built. Oh yeah, the Soul Train sign. Melody was a part of a really awesome hip-hop dance academy in Red Deer when she was younger. And every year they would do a big fundraising gala, and this is something that I built for a Soul Train themed gala. This thing was about 12 feet tall and 14 feet wide, maybe even a little more than that, but it turned out awesome. So I know a lot of the sketches and stuff I've shown you to this point have been all kind of doomy and gloomy, but in the doom and gloom there is always a bit of light. Like here in this painting, we got the sun coming up, and I don't know. For myself and Bert here, I find that a lot of days I feel like I don't know what I am doing here. As a parent, as a person, like I miss the memo on the instructions of life some days. But so if you ever find yourself just looking up at the stars saying, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm doing the best I can, and I hope that's good enough, because it's gonna have to be, because that's all I can do. Starboy, aka Bert. And Eddie here, Eddie's been through some shit, and he's come out the other side, and he's a badass mofo. And find the light in the dark. I don't really know what else to say at this point. Also, these are the prints that are going to be available. I'm super happy with these. Miles at AirClicks printed them for me, scanned and printed them. So these are on his top quality cotton paper with Epsom acid-free inks. So these are a really, really high quality and will stand the test of time. They have some UV protection qualities to them, but glass will always be better. So these are 14 by 14, the same size as the paintings there. And these are going to be $80. I'm doing a limited run on these, so I'm never gonna do a unlimited open series of these. It's only gonna be a limited print run of 50 of each of them. And so that is why I'm pricing them at $80 each, because once they're gone, they're gone. You'll never be able to get them again. So depending on when you watch this, hopefully they're sold out. And also these originals are for sale. Just go ahead and email me to get the pricing on those. So back to the question, what is art? Who are the gatekeepers? Who decides? Who decides what's cool? And at what point is cool not cool anymore? I don't know. Maybe this guy does. In the end, I would say there's art in everything, so if you like art and feel like it, please share this vlog. Thanks.
The rest of the weekend still on the chilly side of things. Minus 27 right now. West-northwest winds at 9 kilometers an hour. Minus 35 outside with the wind chill. That's a terrible temperature. Terrible. 4 degrees in Victoria, 2 in Vancouver. Both looking at a rain-snow mix today. Minus 3 in Kelowna. Minus 24 in Saskatoon.